All right, everyone, it is now 100% super confirmed that the new summer season is going to be starting here in just a couple of days at the time of me posting this video. It's going to be starting on Tuesday, June 29th, and you'll be able to play the new class, the Corsair, with the launch of the summer season as well. And I can tell you guys, I've been waiting super patiently for seasons to come back. They took a bit of a break, and whether you guys are a newer player or a veteran player, there is a ton of stuff to take advantage of from the seasonal servers. So there's going to be plenty of videos over the coming weeks with all the different stuff to really get as much out of the seasonal server as you possibly can, whether you're newer or whether you've been playing the game for a long time. It's absolutely something to look forward to. And I wanted to start off with a really big one here, and I wanted to talk about some things that you can actually do to prepare when it comes to gearing up before the seasonal server actually comes out. And I wanted to share with you guys something really awesome that I actually stumbled upon, and I'll also put as a disclaimer here that this is not something that I actually discovered myself, and I want to give credit where credit is due, so I will definitely make sure to do that. But I thought it was awesome enough to share with you guys if you want to start off with a little bit better than just the absolute bare basic starting gear that you get. Because remember, with seasonal servers, there are restrictions to the gear that you can use. It's not like the normal server, and basically all of the gear that you can normally end up getting off of the market, you're not going to be able to end up using on the seasonal server. Now, of course, there's that special Tuvala gear, which is going to be the main seasonal gear that you're obviously going to be working on through your progression on the seasonal server, but that's going to take a little bit to really get to. You're going to need these certain materials called time-filled blackstones, and for the first few hours, or possibly even the first few days, depending on how hardcore you really get into the seasons, you're not really going to be able to take advantage of too high of an enhancement level of Tuvala gear. So there is actually some gear that you can end up getting on the seasonal servers here before you really get into Tuvala that'll kind of give you a bit of a head start. So this is something really awesome that I stumbled upon, but like I said, I want to give credit where credit is due. This is not something that I came up with, so major props and credit to DmikeBNS. I saw this post on Reddit here that you can actually get 80 AP and 180 DP on the seasonal server right off the bat without Tuvala gear if you actually have certain items that mostly end up coming from the main quest line that you will actually be able to use on the seasonal server. Now, the really important thing to mention here is this gear, it comes from the quest line. You cannot sell it. It doesn't go on the central market. You will be able to use this gear on your seasonal characters. Most other gear, things that you can sell on the central market, you will not be able to use on seasonal characters. And also stuff like the Oasis gear, you will also not be able to use on seasonal characters. So even if you guys are a veteran player, if you're starting off a new character on the seasonal server, unless you have this specific gear that I wanted to get into the details of and really how to get each piece by piece, you're not going to be able to start off with any kind of crazy gear that you already have because, of course, it's going to be the seasonal server. But let's get into the gear that you actually can use here, and this definitely is a nice bit of a head start. 80 AP and 180 DP is going to probably one-shot everything up until like around level 30, 40, 45, I would imagine, something in that general range. That's a lot of DP as well, so you're probably not going to have any problems with your survivability. And here's all the different gear, but there's a couple of other pieces as well, and I wanted to get into how to get each of these pieces because the good news is it mostly ends up coming from the main stories. So if you guys are playing on a character, or if you already have a character that you have done, as long as you haven't thrown it away, if you have it lying around somewhere on one of your alt characters, it's going to be time to dust it off and actually put it to use at the very start of the seasonal characters. So most of this stuff is actually going to end up coming from the Valencia questline. There's a couple of pieces that come from the Medaya questline and a couple of pieces that come a little bit later on. However, none of it comes from the very difficult part of the questline, which is going to actually end up being Odalita 2. That's by far the most difficult part, where you have to kill like actually really difficult monsters. There is a couple pieces that come from Odalita. However, it's going to be from the first part where you do not have to kill super difficult monsters. So as long as you guys are a somewhat intermediate player, most if not all of this gear should be pretty realistic to get on another character that you already have. So let's get into it here, and let's start off with all these pieces of gear that you can get to that 180 DP and 80 AP threshold. So this first one here is the Roaring Magical Armor. Now this piece is going to end up coming from the Medaya questline, from the Elizarus Servant quest. So as long as you guys have done the Medaya questline, When you've gotten to this part, you'll be able to get that piece of gear and use it on your seasonal character. The next piece of gear is the Rugged Valley Helmet. This also ends up coming from the Medaya questline. And then the next piece of gear is the Valiant Katan's Boots. This one comes from the Valencia's questline. Now, another important thing to note here is that I don't believe any of this gear comes from Valencia 2. And Valencia 2 is absolutely god-awful. It's literally the worst quest. It's terrible. Like, once you do Valencia 2, never do it again on any of your characters. Trust me on that. It's a mess. And, you can go ahead and do it once, of course, just so you've done it, but don't do it again. It's definitely not worth it. The rewards, no good for the headache that it is. But this is going to be from the Valencia 1 quest line. I recognize you get a bunch of fail stacks for the Valencia 1 quest line, so I know these boots come from that. Plus, I've done the main quest line on a bunch of characters going for 30,000 quests, so I've got plenty of these boots before, so I know you get it from part 1, which is much, much easier. So, next one is the Honorary Combatants Gloves. This is going to end up coming from, once again, the Valencia quest line. It's going to be from the part 1 quest line. Next up here is the Katan Awakening Box. This is going to be your Katan Awakening weapon. It's going to come in a box form, and this is also going to end up coming from the Valencia questline, I believe. Is it Valencia? It might actually be Medaya. Either Medaya or Valencia, as long as you get, obviously a lot of these pieces come from both Valencia and Medaya, so as long as you've done the main questline through Valencia on at least one character, you should have gotten all of these pieces at least once. Now, if you don't have them, I don't know if you can reacquire them. You might have to end up doing it on another character. So at that point, if you guys have deleted them, hopefully you're keeping them on an alt somewhere. I know that's what I generally do with stuff that I don't really know what to do with. But hopefully you guys have it. If not, you're going to have to decide, is it going to be worth going on a whole nother character just to get these items? Probably not at that point. But if you have it lying around here, definitely time to take it out for your seasonal character. Next up is going to be the Red Sand Crystal Ring, and this is going to come from the very end of the Valencia questline, right at the crossroads. So this is literally like the last quest that you will do from the Valencia questline. After this, it leads into Valencia 2, which you definitely don't want to get into. So once you end up getting this ring, you know you're done with Valencia and you can move on to like Kama Sylvia. And there are a couple of pieces that actually do indeed come from Kama Sylvia, Dragon, and Odolita Part 1. Again, Part 1, not Part 2, which is the difficult one. Next up is going to be the Rock Heart Belt. Now, this one is going to come from Dragon. Dragon is not too long. It's not too difficult either. You fight Garmith in this one as well, and that's really fun. In my opinion, more exciting than the actual Garmith fight with 1 million people because it's so laggy. But you will end up getting this, I believe, about halfway through with the Dragon quest line. Next up is going to be the Forest Eye Earring. Now, this is going to come from the Kama Sylvia quest line. Generally, I would do the Kama Sylvia quest line before Dragon. I don't think it's a requirement. I could be wrong about that. But there's a lot of very good rewards from the Kama Sylvia quest line, especially with Forest Furies right now being so valuable. So this is just another thing added to the list of valuable rewards that you get that you can actually end up using on a seasonal character. Next up is going to be the Tears of the Wind Necklace. This is going to come from also, I believe, Kama Sylvia. Oh, no, this one comes from Odolita, actually. Now, again, really important. Odolita, Part 2 is kind of difficult. Like, especially if you're a newer or intermediate player, there's going to be parts to the Odolita Part 2 questline that are not going to be easy. The good news is this item here comes from the easier part, which is going to be Part 1 towards the start of the quest line. So you should be able to get this item here without too much problems. The monsters that you have to fight for the quest to get up to this point are not too difficult. And then another thing that you can do is you can actually get the Nesser weapons and the Nesser equipment. Now, the general recommendation here is just get the weapons because Nesser is going to cost contribution points in order to rent. And basically, once you end up finishing off Valencia Part 1, what you can do is you can go to an NPC in Valencia and you can actually rent out this Nesser gear. There's 7 pieces in total. Each piece is going to cost you 50 contribution points, which is why I say, like, probably want to just stick to the weapons because that's going to be a lot of contribution. And obviously, you're going to want to turn this back in eventually to get that contribution back. 350 is kind of ridiculous, so you're probably not going to want to get every single piece. I mean, you can if you've got the contribution and you want to, but mostly because you're going to be, your weak points so far are going to be your weapon, However, you can also end up getting the Obsidian or the Black Abyssal Weapon Box. This will also be able to be used on your seasonal character, so you can also use this. Now, if you've already picked a Black Abyssal weapon for a different class, you can actually end up doing a weapon exchange quest once per week, I believe, and actually exchange it for a different weapon. So you might be able to hold on to it and maybe exchange it for a Corsair one. I don't know exactly how that's going to work with the new class, but except for your weapons, your offhands, your awakening, and that sort of stuff, basically those are the only things that are really going to be class specific. The other stuff you'll be able to use whatever class you are playing. So once again, if you guys have already acquired this gear, if you have it sitting around on an alt character, if it's lying around, time to break it out. You will not be able to use your Oasis gear. You will not be able to use any gear that can be purchased off the market. So this will give you that head start, which can get you up to 80 AP and 180 DP. So major props for this really awesome info, once again, to DmikeBNS. I thought this was cool enough to actually go ahead and make a video about, which is pretty rare. But if you guys are looking for a little bit of a head start, now you guys know. And hopefully you guys can use this to your advantage to, you know, get a nice little boost at the start of the summer season. So let me know what you guys think. Are you going to be doing any of this? Are you going to be using any of this gear? Or are you going to just be starting off normally, going with the gear that you get and just kind of going to be progressing through your Tuvala gear as normal? Do you guys already have this stuff, or did you accidentally delete it? I think I have a couple pieces, but I probably deleted a couple pieces as well. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to use all of these. I might find a couple of them, but I'm not super concerned about redoing the quest line just to get a little bit of a head start. So let me know what you guys think about this, kind of how you're going to do it. And if you guys enjoyed this video and it did help out, consider leaving a like. Also, feel free to show some appreciation to DmikeBNS. I'll go ahead and leave a link to this in the description. You guys can take a look at the post on your own if you want more detail on your own. And yeah. Consider leaving a like, subscribing for more videos in the future. With the new season coming out, there's going to be plenty of guides, tutorials, and all sorts of fun stuff. And don't forget to check out the Twitch stream as well, twitch.tv/salt, where I mostly do a ton of enhancing. If you guys have been there, you know what it's about. You can expect that kind of stuff to continue, especially with seasons. We'll be doing some seasonal enhancement stuff as well. Very interesting stuff coming up. But that's about it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, evening, night, afternoon, wherever you guys are. And until next time.